Hey everyone, welcome back to another Minecraft video. I hope that everybody is doing absolutely fantastic today, and in today's video I'm going to teach you guys how to build an amethyst farm. Now this farm is inspired by Iskel85 on the Hermitcraft, and that was how I found out about this specific farm, so I wanted to be able to incorporate it into a video, which I'm doing now, and also into the SMP world that I do play on. There is no block for block because amethyst geodes are going to be 100% unique. Not all of them are going to be the same unless you happen to be playing on the exact same seed that I am playing on. So there really isn't going to be a block for block tutorial, but I'm going to tell you guys how to do it and what I did for this specific farm. But you guys will be able to get stacks upon stacks of these amethyst shards if you want them relatively easy. You can use these to make the amethyst blocks themselves, or you can even use it for tinted glass, or if you guys really like the spy glasses, whatever kind of floats your boat, that's what you guys can use these for. But you will get stacks upon stacks every time that you harvest this, which is pretty awesome. We'll actually harvest a little bit so you guys can kind of see what and how to do this, and I'm going to tell you guys everything that I recommend that you guys go ahead and do in order to make this as efficient and effective as possible. So let's kind of go ahead and get into it. Number one, I do recommend that you guys have a conduit. Conduit is really nice. It's going to give you water breathing, and it's also going to give you night vision, so I can clearly see everything around here very nice and easy, and that's all due to this conduit. So this is how you build the conduit. You don't need this back piece, but you will need some prismarine bricks, and then you will need the conduit itself in there. In order to craft a conduit, you need some nautilus shells, and you also need a heart of the sea. So the heart of the sea is relatively easy to get. You can actually get treasure maps from the sunken ships, and they will lead you to a buried treasure, and a lot of the buried treasure actually have heart of the seas, so relatively easy to do. Or you can use chunkbase.com in order to find out where all those locations are at. You can also use that to find the amethyst geode, which I don't recommend using chunkbase.com because, like me, I play on an SMP, which means that I don't have access to the seed number. So I had to find alternative ways in order to find the best geode, and then I actually just spent a little bit of time the skeletons are shooting at me through the water. It's not really working too well for them, and ultimately it's not the way that I chose to do it because there's a much better way, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Number two, what you'll need in order to actually build the conduit is 8 nautilus shells. Now there are only 3 ways that you can obtain these nautilus shells, and one is by being lucky enough to get a wandering trader and have the wandering trader have the trade where it'll trade you nautilus shells, but they will only trade you 5 at a time, and you need a total of 8, which means that you need 2 wandering traders to actually make this work. Now the next way that you can do this is by drowned. Now, Drowned have a 3% on Java and an 8% on Bedrock Edition in order to obtain their Nautilus shell, or for a Drowned to spawn with a Nautilus shell in their hand. That's the only way that you know that you will be guaranteed, and the only way that you will actually get a Nautilus shell is if one spawns with one in their hand, and then you go ahead and kill it. So that means if you try to build like a zombie farm and find a zombie spawner, and then flood it, hoping that those converted drowned will actually get nautilus shells, it won't work. So just make sure that you don't do it that way. So you'll have to build specifically a drowned farm. So there you go. Now the way that I chose to do it was by fishing. Now you legitimately have to fish unless you make an AFK lootable fish farm, because it is considered loot with it. If you want just the fish and maybe a couple other like smaller things, then build just a standard, an old style AFK fish farm. That will work just fine. Like if you want, you know, puffer fish and things like that. So that would be an option. The other way to get around not having a conduit would be, one is you don't need anything and you could just harvest what you can, quickly get your breath, and then come back and go ahead and finish up the rest. Or every time that you do harvest, you could take a water breathing potion and give yourself night vision if you would like to. Completely up to you. It doesn't really matter what you guys prefer. All of those ways will work completely fine, but I figured that a conduit would ultimately be the easiest. But on my SMP, it did take me a little over 2 hours, about 2.5 hours, in order to actually obtain 8 knowledge shells. So your time will be spent there, but it's really not that difficult. It's pretty mindless and it's pretty easy to go ahead and do. Now, the way that I recommend that you guys find your geode that you want to build on is by using the free cam mod. It allows you basically to leave your body even on an SMP and go ahead and find where you want. So this will give me access to be able to see exactly what I need, and I can go over here and I can be like, oh well, that's over there, or that's over there, whatever I want. It's like having a spectator without having a spectator account when you're not able to have a spectator account on an SMP, or maybe you just don't have 2 Minecraft accounts. So that is a really great way, and it kind of works exactly like a spectator account or like creative would be. It's your same keys that you would be using for it. And so if you haven't downloaded and have not used it, I recommend it because it will give you guys the ability to just look around and see what you guys need if you want to be able to find certain things. Now, my geode I selected for a very specific reason, and that is because all the angles were, this was an entire enclosed amethyst geode, and I did that because that would give me access to more of these budding blocks, which is where all the crystals spawn on. Now, is every block spawnable in a geode? No, it's not. We'll show you guys that in just a moment. And there is a high chance that you will break a few of these. I broke, I think, like 4 or 5 of them when I was building this, because, well, when you have an efficiency 5 pickaxe and you're just breaking stuff, sometimes the cracked ones and the normal amethyst blocks, they look very similar, and you're gonna break some from time to time. Do you need to have axolotls inside of your farm? No, you don't have to. So once I broke into this one, the water flowed in because there was obviously water above it, and then I just started digging around it. Now I dug 2 around the furthest budding area that I could. So there's 2 block gap here. There's going to be a 2 block gap on the top. I don't know why that one hasn't flooded itself or waterlogged itself. This was 2 down here. This is 2 down here, and then this is 2. So on the top, the bottom, on the left, and on the right, they all have a 2, and that's where I built my box. Now, I chose this one because this geode was a lot larger than the other ones in the area. Like that one. This one over here is very small. I mean, look at this thing. It is super tiny. Would this one have definitely produced as many shards that I wanted? No, it probably wouldn't have. But maybe this size of one is perfectly acceptable for what you will need. So go ahead and spend less time and less blocks building around it. So all you would do is dig out all of the amethyst blocks, and then the calcite, and then even like the smooth basalt. Dig all that out, and then wherever the 2 block area is at, all the way around here, and you will find more hidden inside of the amethyst area as well. So just make sure that you don't break them. Or if you don't care, then you don't care. It's completely up to you. But this one would be a little bit bigger, so you can see the size difference is a lot bigger, which means that there are more possibilities of having ones hidden behind here that you can go ahead and use for your farm as well. And then once you start digging all around these, each one of these will have an opportunity to build, to grow in all directions. So it's like a dice, it's 6-sided, so you can get 6-sided, but if they're next to each other, then you're going to lose one of the abilities. Like this one is going to lose one of the abilities because it can't grow between it. So the best ones would be to find ones that are spaced out at least by 2, because that would allow a shard to go left and right or up and down and then not cross into each other. They need to be at least 2 apart from each other. So if you want to destroy some just to make sure that they can grow everywhere you want, then by all means go ahead and do that. I'm not going to tell you what and how to do, but I wanted to keep as many as I possibly can or possibly could. And then this is what they'll kind of look like when they start to grow. Now this isn't 100% ready for harvest. You can see that this is the bigger one, then this one over here is a little bit smaller. So if I were to hit those with a non-silk touch one, I won't get the shard at all, but I will still get the crystal if I want the crystal. So hopefully a lot of this information does help you guys out. And I know it was a little bit different of a video, and I really recommended that you watch the whole video and take this all into consideration. But these farms are relatively easy to go ahead and build. Now, the last thing that I said that I would do is go into the farm itself, and I'll show you guys what you can do. So if you use a Silk Touch pickaxe, you can actually harvest the actual crystal, like the whole crystal itself. So this, or if you use like a fortune, which you can use a fortune pickaxe, the fortune 3, then you're gonna get a lot more like shards from it. I mean, you'll get a significant amount. Let's see here. So we got 22. We got 4 from that one. That gave, look how much that gave us. That was a lot of them. That was only 4. There we go. We got like 12 off of that one, and then you can go around. But now you can kind of clearly see what the amethyst block looks like, or the budding block will look like. These you don't want to destroy, because that are the only places where these can actually like grow on, which means that I can't break these. Like, you cannot break this. You cannot use a Silk Touch pickaxe and hope that you can replace these and put these somewhere else. It won't work. So that's why you have to do it right where a geode was at, and you can't build necessarily your own farm somewhere else. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, a like, subscribing, and commenting down below definitely helps me out. If you guys thought this was a kind of a unique way and enjoyed this type of style of a tutorial, then leave a comment, because I'm curious to see what you guys say about this style of video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.